this was an amazing game. I actually texted Matt after the game. I said, how was that? It was amazing.
Brought to you by AFIA Sports Training, committed to developing the sporting potential of future players in the U.S., UK, and across the world. Check them out at afiasportstrg.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up, talking rugby in Midtown Manhattan at the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34. I'm Matt McCarthy, and I am here with Steve Lewis, who is always on the money. Stephen, welcome.
Thanks, Matt. Tuesday afternoon, where would I rather be?
Exactamundo. Stephen, you're a West Point guy. You coach Army up there, and I got up there for a men's match between Army and Iona.
Yeah, I coached the women's team, or I helped Bill Leclerc and Lara Vivolo coach the women's team. We had a big weekend, went down to Annapolis and laid the wood there, 50-0.
50-0?
50-0, yep. Good, decent performance. Navy are much improved. They've had struggles with resources before, so they're coming around. But reasonable performance by the Army ladies, and then they got a tough spell coming up. They got Life this weekend, followed by Penn State, followed by Dartmouth. So it's a real murderer's row in women's collegiate rugby.
I'll say, good stuff. But we're talking the men's game. And, Steve, we just got a little segment. I caught up with the head coaches, Bruce McLean and Matt Sherman. I caught up with Dave Katz, and I caught up with of Army, and I caught up with a counterpart of his as assistant coach, Dave Flemister of Iona. And we got a little bit of B-roll. Why don't we check it out?
Gentlemen, great game today. One of you lost, one of you won. But Bruce, I'll go with you first. What was it like for you boys coming up to a facility like this?
It's the best facility, at least in the East Coast, probably in the country. And it was funny, the Iona athletic director was here, and there's better rugby facilities here than we have for all sports combined at Iona. But I'll tell you, there was no loser. We didn't win in the score line, but the game of rugby today was a physical game, was a violent game. We got knocked around in the scrum a little bit, but those things happen. The better team did win, and that was on the scoreboard. But the game won in general.
Hey, Matt?
Yeah, I'd echo that. Yeah, just quality rugby. I'd add skillful as well, I mean, it's just, I thought the ball was thrown around quite a bit by both teams. And, I continue to be impressed with what Bruce has done with Iona. I mean, they're never the biggest, never the strongest, the fastest, most experienced, but they punch above their weight, and that's why they can turn teams like us over and create an awesome game today. So,
when's the next time you guys lock horns?
Probably at Iona in the fall. Fall rugby, baby. That's what we're all about these days.
All right, spectacular day. Glad I made the drive up here. It's a spectacular setting and just some good fun rugby. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Matt.
Here with assistant coach Dave Flemister of Iona College. Iona just took a tough loss on the road here at West Point against Army. Dave, what was the key component in the game for you in terms of winning and losing?
I think there were a couple of, I hate to sound sour, but missed calls on collapsed scrums that turned out to be penalty tries.
Did it have anything to do with assistant coach of Army Dave Katz canoodling with the referee?
Absolutely.
Get that guy out of
All right, pretty cool segment, right? They've got some great players on both sides of the field, maybe on the radar of Team USA in the future, Eagles 7s and 15s. But what a facility, too. West Point is
it's a fantastic facility. Anderson Rugby Complex up there. So, as you say, two good programs. Army, perennial powerhouse. Relatively new team this year, but they're off to 4-0 starts. They're going quite well under Matt Sherman. And then Iona. Iona come from nowhere in the last 2-3 years. Bruce McLean has brought them from obscurity to relevance. They're cracking the top 20. They're a real... I went and watched them against Navy the previous week. And they play like Spitfires, they just don't give an inch. Very impressed.
And they had, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had 5 of their 8 pack players were freshmen for Iona.
Not sure. They did struggle a wee bit in the set pieces, or the scrum specifically against Navy. So that might make sense. But they stuck with it, and then they just compete. They compete.
Yeah, 29-19 final, I believe it was, and Iona was down a man. They let up a try, so that was a 7-point converted try while they were a man down. Other than that, it was a solid rugby match. A lot of hitting, some big runs, exciting, and the fans loved it, and it was a great environment.
Yep, all for it. Collegiate rugby, it's starting to become pretty good stuff to watch.
In another life, I might consider trying to get into and attending West Point.
Multiple reasons that wouldn't work.
And on that note, for Stephen Lewis, I'm Matt McCarthy at the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 in Midtown Manhattan, talking rugby on Rugby Wrap-Up, signing off.